What is up everyone, and welcome to a new series called ROOC Explained, where we will be exploring the core mechanics of Ragnarok Online Origin Classic. Today we'll be diving down to the Skeleton Worker card versus Hydra card on PvP and the common core misconceptions around it. Now, if you don't know at this point, the highest damage multiplier you can get on a 2-slot weapon is if you pair a size and a race card, since the effects will be multiplicative instead of additive when the damage multipliers are calculated. This means that using 2 Hydra cards will give you a 40% increase in damage, while using a Skeleton Worker and Hydra card pairing will be giving you a 41.6% increase in damage despite Skeleton Worker having a lower multiplier. Now, the common misconception is that size is better than race, which is better than elemental, which is better than P damage cards. Now, that is not factually true. In fact, the best possible card combination is reliant on how much reduction your opponent has. If we're talking about overworld PvE, most of the cases, the opponents, or the MVPs or the monsters, size and race reduction is at 100%, which is basically 0. Right? And if you look at the size and race damage that you could have, which is 1 Minoros or 1 Skeleton Worker card and 1 size, you would get 41.6% damage increase if the opponent is 0. Now let's calculate that for PvP instead. For size right now, at this point in the game for ROO Classic, most people will have 104 medium reduction, and about, if they have 2 Taras, 130% race reduction. That is the common number that most people are reaching or will be able to reach in the near future. Now, take that into account and let's calculate how much damage we would increase if we are using a Skeleton Worker versus a Hydra card. Now, same thing, for most people, we would have a base of 104% size damage and 100% race damage. This is with your medals at level 29 and not having any collection cards for your race damage. Now, let's see what would happen if we use a Skeleton card and a Hydra card. Now, that would increase the attacker's size damage to 122%, while our race damage will be at 120%. That means we will be getting a 6.2% final damage. Now, what would happen if we are using 2 Hydra cards instead? Let's take a look. Our base size damage will still be 104% because we have the medals up at level 29, but this race damage will be increased to 140%. Look at that. We increased our damage by to 10%, which was a, what was that? It was a 3.8% damage increase. And why is that? This is because we have to take into account that it is not just multiplicative with each other in terms of size and race damage, but you also have to take into account the reduction that your opponent will be having on top of you. So because if you're multiplying anything that has a negative value, the final number will be lower instead for sure. So if we use 2 Hydra cards in this instance, we would have, if the formula goes like this, 104% minus 104%, you basically get this number is zeroed out. You're doing maximum, you're doing equal amount of damage in terms of size, and for race we're doing a 10% extra damage that comes up to the final damage increase of 10%. But if you were to use a Skeleton Worker and a Hydra card, even though this has an 18%, even though your attacker's size damage has an 18% benefit against your opponent's size reduction, you are losing 10% here in terms of race damage. So this is the formula to calculate it. It looks a bit complicated, but a simplified one will be right here below this, and it will help you understand the relationship between both of these two. And with this in mind, you have to take into account your opponent's ratio and size damage reduction. Now, this number will change as more people upgrade their cards or more cards are available, but at this point in the game, without the Glassheim expansion coming to play, there is not a lot of easy ways to get size damage reduction, which means that at this point of the game, size damage is not very important. And you should be really focusing on farming your second Tara to pair them up in your weapon instead of going for the Skeleton Worker and Hydra combination. In the future, that might change while more people get turfing cards or any form of size reduction. But at this point, into the near future, double Hydras will give you the highest damage increase. Now, what about classes with 3 weapon slots? Now, the damage increase, if you want to calculate that, would be if you're using 3 Hydra cards, this would be at 160%, which means you have a 30% increase in your final damage. But if you're using a skeleton worker instead, you would be at about 29.8%, which is very negligible at this point. But if you are a class like an Assassin Cross, which has a default extra 20% on their medium damage reduction, let's take a look at what would be the comparison between 3 Hydras and 2 Hydras plus 1 Scale Worker. Now, if you're using 3 Hydras, your damage increase will be at 56%, while if you're using 2 Hydras and 1 Skeleton Worker, that would increase your damage by 51.8%. Now, taking these into account, you can see that still triple Hydras will be doing more damage than instead of using 1 Skeleton Worker and 1 Skeleton Worker and 2 Hydra cards. So at this point in the game, Hydra cards are going to be the most important card you want to farm. They are also easier to farm compared to Skeleton Worker. And this will be, again, same thing, it will be carrying forward into the near future until people get turfing cards. Now, when people get turfing cards, the calculation changes a little bit. So if someone is using 1 Hydra and 1 turfing card, they will be at about, this will be their number. This will be their size reduction and race reduction. So that means that if we're taking into account 2 weapon slots, 2 weapon card slots, if you're using 1 Skeleton Worker, if you're using 2 Hydra cards, your damage increase will be by 6.25%. But if we are removing one of the Skeleton Worker cards, if you are removing one of the Hydra cards and replacing it with a Skeleton Worker, you will see that we are doing higher damage. So what does this prove? It proves that we need to take into account the opponent's size and race reduction. Now, I hope that explanation was clear to everyone, and hopefully this will help you make decisions on which card to farm at this point, because this will give you a huge advantage over your opponents. Now, if you don't want to worry about all these numbers or worry about all the detailed calculations for Ragnarok Online Origin Classic, you can subscribe to the service that I'm providing, which is Ragnarok Online Origin Classic Coaching and Build Management for a paid fee. But if you don't, I hope these videos and more videos on ROOC Explained that I will be releasing will be helpful for you to build your character. Until then, guys, this is going to be the first ever video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until the next one, this is Zero signing out. Peace.